Many years ago, I was studying with my great revered teacher, Rabbi Joseph B. Soloveitchik, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, and every year he would talk about Pesach. And invariably he would try to make a differentiation between two mitzvos of remembering the Exodus. One that we do every single day, twice a day, morning and evening. Zechirat Yetziat Mitzrayim. Remembering the Exodus. We do that at the end of Birchos Kriyas Shema in the morning and in the evening with Ezras Avosenu and Ve'amuna Kol Zos. And the other one, Sipur Yetzias Mitzrayim, on the Seder night. And he used to say that one is simply mentioning the Exodus and thanking God for it. That's the daily responsibility. But on Pesach night at the Seder, there is a particular structure to Sipur Yetziat Mitzrayim, telling the story. And that structure is divided into two different methods. One, intellectual, and the other, experiential. And that's the whole Haggadah. The intellectual is, first of all, expressed through a certain style. It's a Socratic style. It's she'elah and tshuva, asking and answering. Ideally, the child asks and the parent answers. But if there's no child around, anyone can ask and anyone can answer. The question, of course, is, Ma nishtana halayla hazeh mikol halaylot? What is so special about this night? What is so special about the Exodus? The answer has a structure. Matchil bignut u'misayem b'shevach. You begin with the bad, and you end with the good. That the Mishnah tells us. And then the Gemara asks a question, what bad and what good? And there's a machlokas, a dispute between Rav and Shmuel over what the actual story is. Rav says the story is, we began as idolaters in Egypt. We were very much a part of Egyptian civilization and culture. And even going back further, Avraham Avinu came from a home of idolatry. His father was a manufacturer of idols. That was our beginning. And we ended up as servants of God. So we start with the bad and we end with the good. Shmuel says, oh no, that's not what the story is. That's not what the bad to the good is. The story on Pesach night is, the bad is we started out as slaves to Pharaoh. And we ended up as free people, leaving Mitzrayim. Avadim hayinu leFaro b'Mitzrayim. We once were slaves, and now we are free, b'nei chorin. So we have two stories. One, a spiritual redemption from idolatry to the worship of one God. The other, a physical redemption from slavery to freedom. The Haggadah incorporates both views. That of the spiritual redemption and the physical redemption. Of course, the physical redemption we see right away. Avadim hayinu leFaro b'Mitzrayim, vayotzienu et Hashem Elokeinu misham. We were slaves to Egypt, God took us out. And then again, when we say Arami Oved Avi, and we interpret all of the verses from Exodus that speak about the physical freedom. But where is the spiritual story? The story of Rav. The Rav says, one place, it's in Mitchila Ovdei Avodah Zarah Hayu Avosenu. In the beginning, we were idolaters, and now God brought us to his service. But the Rav says there's another place where the spiritual story is told from bad to good. And the Rambam in Hilchos Chametz U'Matzah mentions that. He says, Shekervanu hamakom lo, v'hivdilanu meha'umos, v'kervanu liyichudo. In the beginning, we were servants of idolatry, and then God brought us to Him, divided us from the nations, and brought us to His service. Listen to those words, and you'll see where this is in the Haggadah. I'll sing you the words. Shekervanu hamakom lo, v'hivdilanu meha'umot, v'kervanu leyichudo. The Rambam is picking up the words from Kiddush. Asher bachar banu mikol am, v'romamanu mikol lashon, v'kiddushanu b'mitzvotav. It's in Hilchos Chametz U'Matzah, Perek Zayin, Halacha Daled. That's the story. It's in Kiddush. Normally when we say Kiddush on a Yontif night, we're just saying Kiddush. We're sanctifying the day. But on Pesach night, at the Seder, we're actually beginning the story of Sipur Yetziat Mitzrayim with the words, Asher bachar banu mikol am v'romamanu mikol lashon v'kiddushanu b'mitzvotav. That God took us from idolatry to the service of Him and the Torah. So that's the spiritual. What about that? And then we have both, the spiritual and the physical, in the Haggadah. Question, answer, start from bad, end with good. And there are two types of bad and good. One is physical, from slavery to freedom, and one is spiritual, from idolatry to the worship of one God. But that, says the Rav, is only one way of telling the story on Pesach night. The other way is experiential. And that, of course, is through all of the symbols in the Seder and all of the actions that we have. We eat matzah to remember that we came out of Egypt. We eat moror to feel the bitterness of Egypt. Even we eat charoses to feel the bricks and the mortar. We recline as if we just got out of 200 years of slavery. What would you do if you got out of 200 years of slavery? You would rest. You would relax. That's what Mesubin is all about. And then, most of all, the 4 cups of wine. If you were suddenly liberated from slavery, what would you do? You'd drink l'chaim. Those 4 cups of wine are essentially drinking l'chaim to God and saying thank you for delivering us from slavery to freedom. This is the second type of story that we tell on Pesach night. The first is intellectual, divided into spiritual and physical. The second is experiential. And of course, the language in the Mishnah, repeated in the Haggadah, that expresses that is B'chol dor vador chayav adam lirot et atzmo ki'ilu hu yatsa miMitzrayim. In every generation, each person should see himself or herself as if he went out of Egypt. And Maimonides, the Rambam in Hilchos Chametz U'Matzah, puts 2 additional words in there. He says, B'chol dor vador chayav adam laharot et atzmo. To show himself. Not just to feel it, but to show himself. That's with all these symbols. And ki'ilu hu ba'atzmo, as if he personally yatsa ata, now, just now, from Mitzrayim. And therefore, the Rambam says, we drink 4 cups of wine, we recline, we eat matzah, and so on and so forth. We should all have a great Seder and a great Pesach, and understand that in telling the story, we tell it intellectually and we tell it experientially. We should be able to tell the story this Pesach night to everyone around the table, intellectually and experientially. Chag Kasher V'Sameach.